Had teammates that were there with me for 4 years and were really comfortable playing with me. And then you come here and you have to learn your teammates in 2 weeks before you step on the court, and that can be really hard.
Angel Reese just hit Caitlin Clark in the head during a game. You won't believe what happened next. The refs reviewed it, social media exploded, and suddenly everyone's talking about who's the real villain in women's basketball. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Now, let's rewind the clock. Before the heated exchanges and viral moments, Reese and Clark were just two talented players on separate paths. So what turned them into the basketball world's most talked about rivals?
Any good shooter can really feel the ball off their hand like that. So I kind of know, and then sometimes I get ready to celebrate and fire up the crowd. And then the next time down.
Obviously, we see her shooting, we see her passing, we see all that stuff on the floor, but a lot of that comes from a lot of hard work. She's in the gym almost all the time working on her game.
The answer lies in a perfect storm of skill, circumstance, and social media madness. It all started with their on-court performances. Caitlin Clark has been lighting up the scoreboard, dropping 25 points in their recent face-off. Meanwhile, Angel Reese has been dominating the boards, leading the WNBA with an impressive 12.3 rebounds per game. These two aren't just good. They're redefining what it means to be a star in women's basketball. But here's where things get interesting. Their contrasting styles of play have created a natural rivalry. Clark's a scoring machine, while Reese is a rebounding powerhouse. It's like watching two different approaches to the game clash in real time. And you know what happens when two titans collide? Fireworks. Remember that recent game? The one where Clark outscored Reese 25-10? That's the kind of matchup that gets fans talking. And boy, did they talk! Social media exploded with memes, hot takes, and debates about who's the better player. It's like the whole internet turned into one big sports bar argument. But here's the crazy part. This rivalry isn't just about what happens on the court. It's become a full-blown spectacle. Every interaction between these two is analyzed, dissected, and turned into headline news. That hand-to-head moment we talked about earlier? It's just the latest chapter in this ongoing saga.
Ball two, drills it. The Fever leak out. Caitlin Clark, a layup drill for her.
When you talk about greats in this game, the Michael Jordans and the Kobe Bryants and the Steph Currys, they are putting her in that category, the Diana Taurasi's.
You want to know how big this has gotten? Check this out. Over 1.5 million viewers tuned in to watch their recent game. That's not just a lot of eyeballs, that's a game changer for women's basketball. This rivalry isn't just entertaining, it's driving interest in the sport to new heights. Think about it. When was the last time you saw this much buzz around a women's basketball game? Reese and Clark aren't just competing against each other, they're pushing the entire sport into the spotlight. It's like they've taken women's basketball and cranked the volume up to 11. And let's talk about those social media reactions for a second. After their recent clash, it was like someone opened the floodgates. Memes, hot takes, frame-by-frame breakdowns of every interaction, you name it, it was out there. People who'd never watched a WNBA game in their lives were suddenly experts on Reese's rebounding technique and Clark's shooting form. But here's the thing. All this attention comes with a price. The pressure on these two young athletes is intense. Every move they make, on and off the court, is scrutinized. One bad game, one heated moment, and suddenly they're trending for all the wrong reasons. It's a double-edged sword, and they're both walking that tightrope every time they step onto the court. You've seen the headlines about Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, but what if I told you the media's painting only half the picture? There's a hidden story here that's changing how we see women's basketball. Let's talk about Angel Reese for a second. You might think you know her story, but trust me, there's more to it. The media's been throwing around labels like too hood and too ghetto. Can you believe that? It's like they're trying to paint her as the bad guy of the WNBA. But here's the thing. Her fans see something totally different. To them, she's not a villain. She's a passionate competitor who's not afraid to show it. Now, flip the script and look at Caitlin Clark. The media's calling her the golden goose of the league. She's got endorsements worth $28 million. That's crazy money. It's like she can do no wrong in the public eye. She's marketable, she's popular, she's the sweetheart of women's basketball. But hold up, doesn't this whole situation sound a little off to you? It's like we're watching a movie where the roles have already been decided. Angel's the villain, Caitlin's the hero.
Like I said, she's a special player. She commands so much defensive attention. And I think that's one of the things that separates her in terms of winning that Rookie of the Year.
Caitlin decided not to shoot. Mitchell will hits the three, and that is the 19th assist for Caitlin.
But real life isn't that simple, right? Here's where things get really interesting. Stephen A. Smith. Yeah, that's Stephen A. Smith. He's got something to say about this. He pointed out, Caitlin talks to the golden goose. She's white and very, very marketable. Whoa, he's not pulling any punches, is he? He's saying what a lot of people are thinking but afraid to say out loud. Think about it. We've got two incredible athletes, both at the top of their game. But one's being portrayed as the troublemaker, while the other's seen as the golden girl. Is it just about their playing styles, or is there something else going on here? Dan Patrick, another big name in sports media, he's got his own take. He said, Angel Reese wants to be Draymond Green. She's more Dylan Brooks trying to be an instigator. Ouch. That's a pretty harsh comparison, don't you think? It's like they're trying to fit Reese into this bad girl box, no matter what. But here's the real question. How much of this is about basketball and how much is about, well, everything else? Race? Marketability, public image, it's all mixed up in this crazy sports smoothie, and we're all drinking it up without really thinking about what's in it. You know what's wild? This whole situation is making us look at women's sports in a totally new way. It's not just about who scores the most points or grabs the most rebounds anymore. It's about how the media shapes our view of these athletes. And let me tell you, that view can change faster than a crossover dribble. So next time you're watching a game or scrolling through sports news, take a second to think about what you're seeing. Are you getting the whole story? Or are you just seeing what they want you to see? Because in this Angel versus Caitlin saga, there's a lot more going on than what's happening on the court. Speaking of what's happening on the court, let's break down some numbers. Angel Reese, 10 points. Caitlin Clark, 25 points. Same game, wildly different outcomes. What's going on here? The stats are just the beginning of a story that's about to get real interesting.
In that opportunity, Caitlin Clark for three, rattles it around for her.
You see, this rivalry isn't just about who scores more points. It's about the pressure, the spotlight, and yeah, even the frustration. Imagine being Angel Reese for a second. You're out there, giving it your all, but the scoreboard isn't telling the whole story. Sure, she grabbed 13 rebounds, but those 10 points, that's not the Angel we're used to seeing. Now, here's where things get juicy. Paul Pierce, basketball legend, he's got something to say about this. He thinks Caitlin got into Angel's head. Can you believe it? He said, Caitlin got into Angel's head and she was frustrated with her performance. That's some serious psychological warfare right there. But wait, it gets even crazier. Dan Patrick, you know, the sports talk guy, he dropped a bomb. He said, we notice Angel Reese when she plays against Caitlin Clark, no other time. Ouch, that's gotta sting. Imagine being a star player, but you only make headlines when you're up against one specific opponent. How would that make you feel? This isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about visibility. It's about pressure. It's about proving yourself every single time you step on that court. Angel's not just playing against Caitlin. She's playing against expectations, media narratives, and yeah, maybe even her own doubts. Think about it. Every time these two face off, the whole basketball world is watching. Every move, every shot, every rebound. It's all under a microscope. And for Angel, that spotlight seems to shine even brighter. It's like she's carrying the weight of her entire career on her shoulders every time she faces Caitlin.
38%. Caitlin Clark, another three-pointer.
Let's run that. I think her ability to lead this team as a rookie, she's really starting to step into that role, and I think that's exciting to see as well.
But here's the thing. This pressure, this rivalry, it's not all bad. In fact, it might just be the secret ingredient that's pushing both these players to new heights. You know how they say iron sharpens iron? Well, Reese and Clark are like two swords, constantly clashing, constantly pushing each other to be better. Sure, Angel might have had a tough game, but you know what? That's just fuel for the fire. You can bet she's in the gym right now, working on her game, determined to come back stronger. And Caitlin? She's not resting on her laurels either. She knows Angel's coming for her crown, and she's got to stay sharp. This rivalry, it's like a never-ending game of one-upmanship. Every time one of them has a great game, it sets the bar higher for the next matchup. It's like they're in this constant cycle of pushing each other to be better, to reach new levels of greatness. And you know who the real winners are in all this? Us, the fans. We get to watch two of the best players in women's basketball giving it their all, game after game. We get to see records broken, amazing plays made, and yeah, maybe a little drama too. But let's not forget, behind all the headlines and the hype, these are two young athletes trying to make their mark on the sport they love. They're not just rivals, they're trailblazers, pushing women's basketball into the spotlight like never before.